Hi, guys. It's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I think I might have a delay again, but there's nothing I can do about it right now. If I reboot, I'll lose the stream, and then I'll have to put another link out. And it might go. Tom Hanks doesn't look anything like Forrest Gump. Tom Hanks has long hair, way longer than Forrest Gump. It's like you've never seen Tom Hanks before. I mean, he was in a lot of movies. He's pretty famous. Seriously. You should think before you type in a public chat room. Because you're a mod. Mods have rules. So I'm going to tell you how my day started. And then I'm going to tell you what happened with our video today. Good. Yeah, Michael apologized. So I got to work this morning. And we opened, and then I started fighting with the kitchen right away. We started fighting. The first problem was wife ordered a quesadilla with no mushrooms. Husband says, I want a burger, but can you add mushrooms to that? I said, bet, no problem. I'll just give you her mushrooms. That way I don't have to charge you for them. Yeah, that's a great idea. Oh, no. I told the kitchen that. And the chef wanted me to charge him for the mushrooms because they're additional. Anything additional, we should charge for. Well, I didn't. He got his mushrooms, and I didn't charge it for him. Next table, another husband and wife. We want to split this burger. We want a salad and a burger, and we're going to split the burger. So can you please cut the burger in half? Sure. No problem. Easy. So I type it in. Big dog burger, cut in half. Well, the kitchen refused to cut the burger in half because they don't do that. Because, it's a kitchen. Where the hell are they going to get a knife? I mean, the Rachel that we served gets cut in half. The Cuban that we served gets cut in half. But I asked for the big dog burger to be cut in half. And they don't do that. So I took the whole burger to the table and I said, I'm sorry. My kitchen doesn't cut burgers in half. They said no. They won't cut your burger in half. Enjoy your burger. So they're not coming back. And then next table. So they can get a quesadilla, but they can substitute chicken in a quesadilla instead of the beef. Okay, that's allowed. Well, I can't remember what he ordered. He ordered something and he wanted chicken instead. And I'm like, no, sir, we can't do that. We can't put chicken in there instead. The kitchen will not do that. And it's hard for me because servers like bend over backwards. Like if you tell me you want to eat with a blonde puppy to be happier, I will go find you a blonde puppy. If you want 7 ranches, I will get you 8. When kids come in the restaurant, I buy tons of stuffed animals. And when the little kids come in the restaurant, if they're like fussy and parents can't eat, I throw stuffed animals or toys, lots of toys I give kids. I mean, it's like we just want you know how hard it is to get a new customer? Do you know how much easier it is to just keep a customer who came because they were happy? Yeah, I don't get pockets. I don't get pockets. I'm a girl. Silly. I do have an apron. So now I can only give them, now kids can only have 2 dolls instead of 30. Breathe, Carolyn. You don't want me to call you that. But that's the day I had. It was all day. It was a 12-hour shift of nothing but bullshit. So then I'm ready to stream. And something happened, guys. So I didn't stream yesterday, and I rebooted yesterday. So here's the video we're on. Except for the fact that I have no idea where we stopped 2 days ago. I have no idea where we stopped, and I have no idea how to figure it out because I don't know if I was paying attention, to be perfectly honest. Let's just look. Nope. Okay. I know for a fact we did not see a post-it board or this lawyer finally standing up. And it's really annoying me that he sits down to question the witnesses. Dude, your job is not that hard. You can stand up and question the witnesses. But we do have mom back. I mean, the wife back. I don't. This must be his mother. I'm guessing. This is his mother, the one who died, and this is his wife. That's a guess. I know this is his wife, but yeah. Politics are guys. DJ. We're either gonna talk about politics tonight or fashion men tonight, or both. Oh no. I know. I was concentrating on chat too. I can turn chat off too. I just gotta click a button, but I would never do that. Okay, so I know we weren't here. Oh boy. How about this? I think there was something on the monitor, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to where we see something on the monitor and press play. Okay. I can't bash, man. Mike is here. Here we go. Watch. Please let there be sounds. That's all I'm asking.
Would go places. Is that your father?
Yes, that's my mom and dad.
Did he typically drive?
Yeah. Yeah, she was his ride or die. And now it's the other way.
Now I remember. Okay. The son is on the stand right now. The son of the man who died is testifying right now. And this woman keeps objecting. And she has to. That's her job. She has to. But he's crying because his father died and she's objecting. And oh no. Jody, I understand how you feel. I do. This isn't the most exciting court case I've ever played, so you might fall asleep, but I don't think he's involved, and I think it was his arm. I don't think he's involved in this court case. I don't know. But I read a lot of the documents, and I didn't see his name anywhere. But that doesn't mean anything. There were a lot of documents. All right, let's go with his son. He sounds harmless.
Go to page 9, top picture. Who are these folks?
That's my mom on the left, my dad in the middle, and on the right, that's kid 6.
It's 6.
A local performer. He has some originals, but he's mostly a cover artist. And my mom and dad really liked them. They ended up becoming friends with them, and then they would play songs at my dad's request. And my parents were such music lovers.
I'm so sorry, guys. Oh God, I'm such a can't say that. I'm such a bad person. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. And happy Father's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the fathers that had to be mothers too. And happy Mother's Day to aunts who mother babies. And happy Mother's Day to anybody with a fur baby too. Just take this as your day. All of you. Everybody. Just take it as your day and have a good day. I'm going to show you. Oh, no, I'm not. And grandmothers. And, yep. And grandmothers. And stepmothers. Foster mothers. Mother.
First that I ended up calling him Rock Dad. He ended up getting his own nickname in the local scene.
An objection in regards to the narrative. The question was, who is this?
And doggy mothers.
It's not. Yes, ma'am.
You can proceed.
Let's go to page 17.
Except my sisters. I hope you're having a bad day.
Top picture. Is this a common occurrence with regard to your mother and father?
Yes, they were always in loving embrace and showing each other affection.
Okay, now I'm sure that's grandma. Because she is crying right now.
Go to
Hey.
page 22, the bottom picture. Can you tell me who these people are?
That is a local music promoter on the left. Jennifer. In the middle is my dad. And I don't recognize the fellow on the right.
Wow. Let's go to February of 2021. In February 2021, where were you living?
Living in our family home in Bear Creek.
With your mother and father?
Yes, sir.
And during that third week of February, was your father working in town or out of town?
Out of town.
I'm sorry, I said February. I meant September.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. He was working out of town.
Okay, and I understand he'd been doing that for how many years?
Too many years, but I want to say since like 2017.
Okay. I want to call your attention to September 22nd, 2021. Do you remember that day?
Yes, sir.
Why do you remember it?
As the beginning of a living nightmare. That I feel like it'll never end
It's wet nose.
until up to my time is over on this earth.
At some point that day, did you learn that something had happened with your father?
Yes.
Where were you when you learned that?
I was at home.
Were you by yourself?
I was upstairs and my mother was downstairs.
Tell me what happened.
I get a call from my dad's best friend, David Turbeville,
Okay.
who also worked at the same company as my dad. And he doesn't call me. He never called. He only called me if we were meeting up at his house. And he never calls me. And so seeing him call me, I had thought that was odd.
I told you the worst part of my day and tell you the best part of my day. I didn't even mention it. So, I work 12 hours. I go home. And Anthony's car is not working right. Okay, I should say my other car that Anthony uses is not working right now. Okay? It's an old Cadillac. It's older. It's like 2010, I think. Maybe. I don't remember actually. The starter's bad. And parts on a Cadillac are they're just a little expensive. So I drove him to work today, and then I was going to pick him up after work. So I get off work, go home, feed people and the animals, and then I go get Anthony. He's not ready yet. So I go in. He works at Longhorn. Oh, sugar. He does not work at Longhorn. He absolutely doesn't work at Longhorn. So whatever I'm about to tell you next happened absolutely did not happen at Longhorn. So I get he's not ready yet. But there's a bar there. I sit at the bar and I'm just so tired. Every part of me is aching. I'm just waiting for my son to get out because I'm hungry. Everybody else is fed, but I'm hungry and my feet hurt. It happened at Outback Steakhouse. Yes, it did. This is where I was. I sit at the bar and the first thing I saw, I mean, my eyes were barely open. I just saw a bottle of Bud. The bartender comes over. I said, just give me a bottle of Bud. And she gave it to me. Oh God, it tasted so good. It was ice cold, tasted so good. Anthony's done with work. And I pull my credit card out. And the bartender says to me, you know what? That's on me. Happy Mother's Day. Isn't that awesome? I got a free beer. I'm going to cry. I love free beers. Yeah, I got a free beer today at Outback because, other steak places would never give away beer like that. It's against corporate policy.
You take the call?
Yes. I answer the phone. He says, Zach, are you sitting down? And I'm like, what? No. He's like, sit down, buddy. I'm like, what's going on? What's up? He's like, something's happened to your dad and it's not looking good. And I start panicking and I'm like, what do you mean? What happened to him? He says, he got hurt at work. It's not looking good. Hang on. Hang on. I got a call coming in. I'll call you back. And he hangs up on me. I start freaking out. I start, thoughts coming through my mind. He said before he hung me, they're taking him to the hospital, and then he hung up. So I start looking around, getting stuff ready, and I hear my dad's voice. And I stop. He says, Zach, it's not looking good. I'm not going to be able to hang on. I can't come back from this. I love you, Zach. I love you so much, Zach. I have to go. And at that moment, I was in shock, trembling. I started screaming. I started yelling and screaming. I started looking for my dad. I started looking for him. And the mom starts yelling, what's going on? What's going on? And then she starts getting a phone call. She answers the phone. And I hear her scream. And then Dave calls me and goes, Zach, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, what is happening? Your dad's dead. I started screaming. I started yelling. I started scrambling. I didn't know what to do. And then I heard a crash downstairs. So I go downstairs and my mom had collapsed and fell into the dishwasher and broke her tooth out. She's bleeding. I just got a call. My dad's dead.
What did you do next?
Yo, she was about to object to that. Jesus.
Herville was on the phone listening, hearing all this. He said, Zach, I'm coming over there right now.
Was he in town?
Yes, sir.
Did he come over?
Yes.
What happened then?
He came up when he got there. I come outside. I run outside. Like, what that dude? And he's crying. He's crying. I'm so sorry, Zach. We're in my front yard. We're just crying. He's telling me how sorry he is.
Double that. I'm guessing you double that.
What was your condition of your mom at this point?
Laying on the couch. Like she had just gotten crushed herself.
Joe go to San Antonio, or what did they do thereafter?
So my dad, they took him to the hospital where he died at the hospital. So
Yeah, Micah, don't say Wendy.
he had some personal belongings that needed to go get. And I was in such a bad state. And his best friend Turville was there. He said, hey, we'll go tomorrow to go get his stuff. And so the next day, me and Turville went to the hospital. And we met a guy that was working with my dad outside the hospital. And he hands me my dad's boots. The ones he was wearing. And they're smashed and bloody. And here I am outside this hospital. Boots. We put those in the truck, and then we had to go into the hospital and go where they release his stuff. His wallet, his keys, which were bent and smashed. His belt was tore, ripped. His pants.
He gave you his pants?
Yeah. Torn, bloody. His shirt. His wallet smashed like a piece of paper. Here's his bag. Here's what you got left to your dad. It was terrible.
I don't remember this part recording it. I just remember him talking.
She couldn't move. She couldn't move. She couldn't function. She had to stay home. She couldn't move and walk. It was terrible. My dad's dead. Now my mom now she lost her ability to walk. What is happening to me? No.
How much does this affect the price at the end, do you think? If there is one, if they lose, how much is this testimony right now, full of tears, going to affect the price of the decision? And if you were her, because it's obviously not him right now, if you were her, is there anything you can do to end this? Or do you really just have to sit there and, let this damage your case as badly as it is?
That is broken keys, bloody smashed boots. Wouldn't wish that on anybody. My worst enemies to go through what I've gone through on this. The exterior, the pain of what happened.
Sounds that was pretty traumatic for you.
Yes, sir.
Has it got better?
Not one bit.
Has your mom gotten better?
Not at all. Really. The only thing that keeps her going and keeps her strong is me and Cody. That's just 1%. That just gets her to 1% of who she really is and what she's capable of doing before this happened.
That is exactly what it's about.
You talked about you had this, you believed you heard your father. Do you have dreams about your father?
I dream about my father often.
You tried to get anybody to help you process this?
I have.
Does it help?
No. No, it really hasn't helped because as much as I know what I have to do, now my dad's gone, and now I have to take care of my mom and my brother and look after my family. That makes me feel like I know I'm doing the right thing, but it doesn't take away the pain and the crushing feeling that I feel every day when I wake up. When I wake up, it's this. Your dad's dead. Get up. Gotta take care of your mom. Every day since this has happened. That's what I wake up to. Every day. I'm haunted by this. Terribly haunted. Me and my dad were so close. We had shared the same vision. We shared.
You know, Zach, God wants you to move on. You realize that?
In my dreams, we'd do things now. In the beginning, and when he would show up, I would just start screaming. I'd scream until I wake up. In my dreams, when I see him, we're doing things like we did when he was alive. We're on missions.
There are three main companies involved. So Texas A&M had construction work done, and the general contractor was Burns Construction or Burns something. And then a subcontractor was Way Mechanical. Way Mechanical was trying to put an air conditioning unit on top of the building. And at the very, very beginning, Way Mechanical was going to operate the lift themselves. But then, and they wrote a JSA for it. And then they turned and they hired someone else who had more experience with cranes, a crane company, experts, called TNT. So those were the three people involved in the accident. The people on trial right now is this woman in the back. You can just see her head. That's the wife of the man who died. I believe this is the mother of the man who died. And then over here is the defense team, and back here for TNT. TNT was the crane company. So they're suing TNT, and TNT is going to try to, put blame on the general contractor and Way Mechanical, the other subcontractor.
That helps a little bit, and I think you're right. I think that's what those dreams mean. Is that, hey, we gotta keep going. And in maybe some way in many ways he is here, even though he's not here physically anymore, he is with me. I think maybe there is a way to move forward. But I don't know what that is at this point. Don't know. Because now my life is just all about taking care of my mother who's now disabled. Like almost like this air handler fell on her and now she can't walk.
Your Honor, as a witness.
How would you
I think
like to cross the defense? Yes, Judge, please proceed. Dr. do you want a break before we start?
No.
My name is Marilyn. We've never met before, with the exception of this trial. So I'm sorry that we're meeting under these circumstances. I am going to ask you a few questions about your dad and your life while you're on the stand, okay?
Okay. That's ballsy. That is ballsy. What is she doing? What is she doing? Why is she asking him questions? Let's see. Let's see what she does.
At the time that your father passed away, you were 37 years old, is that right?
No.
How old were you when your father passed away?
33.
I'm sorry, at the time of your father's death, you were 33. How old are you now? Are you 37 now?
37.
You were living at home back in 2021, right?
Yes.
Do you still live at home now?
Yes.
Okay. How were you helping out at the house prior to or in 2021?
Well, my dad working out of town throughout the week and then being so exhausted on the weekend, I did everything I could to make things easier on him, whatever needed. And even through that, he would, instead of him being the lead, doing whatever it took, he would be assisting. He would assist me.
Were you helping out financially back then?
Where I could and here and there. Our main thing, what we're doing was saving and helping share the load of what it things that would come up. I'd help how I can, how much he would allow me to. Help really.
Did you ever pay any utility bills at your house back then?
I would pay some utilities and stuff here and there, whatever it could to help out when he was needing it, if he needed any help or just to show how much I care.
Did you ever help pay for the mortgage or any monthly payments to the home?
No,
How about now? Do you help out with the mortgage?
no,
Who pays the mortgage now at your house?
my mother,
Does your mother work?
no.
Did y'all have any savings that would help make a payment to your mortgage?
Then,
Well, how is your?
now,
Yes, now.
yeah, we had some savings.
Okay. How is your mom paying for the mortgage now if she doesn't work?
She gets workman comp.
Your Honor, it's violence, motion on me. These are federal sources that are not part of this case.
Okay. All the follow question, Jim. For a while there, you were working on repairing cars, is that right?
Yeah.
Are you, do you hold any certifications as a mechanic?
No.
So what defines a master mechanic?
Generally, in all trades, to be master is you gotta at least have 10,000 hours of work experience. And with where I'm at now and how many cars I've done, I probably have 100,000 hours of fixing cars, working on cars.
And you also have previously testified that you would do some landscaping. Is that right?
That is true.
Do you still do landscaping work?
I haven't done a landscape job in 3 years.
So back in 2021, you were making money doing landscaping?
Yes. That was my big landscape year.
And also doing mechanical work.
So to get to 100,000 hours, working 40 hours a week, you would have to work for 48 years. And he's 37 years old.
Right, back in 2021.
Yes.
Had you filed a tax return for the money that you earned based on those businesses?
No,
Why not?
because with how much work I was able to get, which sporadically it was, the expenses that I incurred and the money I had to invest to be able to do that job, I was operating at a loss and made no income on it at all. So I wasn't able to file.
So you hadn't paid any taxes to the IRS then, right?
I have paid taxes to the IRS.
Did you graduate from college
No,
and you don't hold any other certificates in any other trade, right?
No.
You did testify that at one point you worked with your father at Galwin. Do I have that right?
that's correct.
Okay. And was your job title a helper?
No, I was a tradesman.
Okay, what do you mean by tradesman?
That is what's, it is a local union. First of all, it's a union job,
Okay.
local 211. And basically a tradesman is the name they give that they're not making what a job.
This is civil. So I think they're trying to figure out how much he contributed to the household financially and if anybody else contributed to the household too, to figure out how much money was lost by the family with his death.
Journeyman makes pretty much. But you're doing all the work essentially side by side, a journeyman. They don't really have a helper in the union, but I guess helper tradesmen kind of go hand in hand a little bit, but that's how that is.
Were you ever acting or did you ever take on a role or want to learn how to be a pipe fitter during that time that you were working with your dad at Galwin?
I did. So our first job, expanding the Feigen building, I was a tradesman for that whole job. And then I was promoted to work on a service truck with a welder, and I was the pipe fitter. And I worked on that truck for almost a year. And we were a 2-man crew. We went and did a bank, installed chillers in a bank. We did
Yes, I
the
do.
HVAC at a school. And I really rose and shined with that job.
And you did that for about 2 years, right?
Yes.
Did they ask you after that to go to pipe fitter school so that you could work as a pipe fitter there?
Yeah, that was that was brought up, but before I can get that happening, they laid me off like it wasn't anybody. And that didn't rub me the right. I didn't like that. I didn't like being working so hard and then being disposable.
Okay, during that time that you were working at Galwin with your dad, what sorts of things would you and your father do together on the job there?
To start the job, on that particular job, you have to install the new pumps in the basement and the riser pipes to go up to the new mechanical floor, which was the roof of the building. And then once those riser pipes are in, you have supply and return for each floor. And those basically the pipe gets smaller and smaller. And then once we had that established, we had to fly in the air handlers and set them. And once those air handlers are in there, you have to pipe those in. And the way those get piped in is pipe comes off a ceiling and there's a header piece. And that header piece is extremely difficult to make. My dad was the best at it. He made the most beautiful header pieces. It fit. And that's a great thing to say when the pipe fitter is fit first try. First time it fit is an incredible thing to do because there's so much math and measurements to be a pipe fitter. You got to be incredibly smart. And if you're off an 1/8 inch, it's not going to work. And only 1/16 of an inch is allowable really to get a weld done.
So then watching your dad for those 2 years, you knew about your dad's work ethic, right? You got to see it.
Yes.
Did you consider your dad a safe worker?
100%.
Did your dad ever teach you during that time about stop work authority?
We was aware of that.
Did you ever see him exercise it during that period of time that you worked with him there?
No, thank God, never had to.
Did you believe that your dad was always protective of his crew if he believed that there was an unsafe condition during that period of time?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, your dad spoke with you about the job site that he was on in San Antonio back in 2021, right?
Yeah, I'm aware of it.
You had some discussions with your dad about it, right?
At that point, I've been doing it for so long. Every job is being a pipe fitter and doing what he did. It's kind of it's different, same job, but just different location type deal. And so I knew everything that he had to go through and work on. And so we really didn't have too many discussions of the exact things that are going on with that job.
That your father mentioned to you that he was critical of that job site, wasn't he?
As critical as he is of any job he was on in regards to.
Oh no, the beginning was a mess. Let's just ignore that.
You just got to get it done. It's work. It's not fun. It's not playtime. It's not fun. It's a very serious thing. It's not there to hang out and be. It's not hangout time. It's be serious. It's work. 100% serious. Got to have your stuff together.
In fact, he was critical of that job site because it was really only him and another person that was working that site. Isn't that what he told you back then?
When the job first started, that is what he said. To start the job, it was him and another guy.
He had expressed to you during your discussions his frustration with the job site during that period of time, right?
Just in the beginning part, they had him and another guy doing, I think connecting the pipes or something in the ground. And this is the hardest part of that job in the beginning. If there's trenches where the pipe's underground, nobody likes that. Nobody likes that part of the job at all. It's muddy. It rains. You got to pump out the waters. It's no fun.
Was your dad a part of a union?
Yes, the local 211.
You also had some discussions with your dad about how he wanted to
I wouldn't
retire
talk.
in about 10 years, right?
That is correct.
Your worth is defined by your Minecraft house.
Now, you described your dad earlier with Mr. Busby as being mean and tough. Do you remember that?
On the football field.
Okay. Was he ever mean and tough with you?
Not in a hateful or malicious way.
How often would you and your father and your family, your mother, your grandmother, and Cody get together most recently before your father passed?
I mean, we'd get together on the weekends. Cody lived in San Marcos, and so if he came into town to visit, we'd be together on the weekends. I mean, every weekend we were together. And he was working so much, he didn't get to go see his mom, my grandma, as much as we wanted to. She lives about 80 miles away from us, and we really wanted to. And we talked to her on the phone, but he just drove so much. And he's got to go back. You got to go the other direction Sunday night, or he'd wake up 3 in the morning on Sunday to get on to work, and he would show up, drive from the house straight to the job site.
Do you have any, we've seen photographs of you and your family when y'all were very young. You didn't bring any photographs of you with your father most recently, right? We haven't seen anything like that.
I suppose not.
Are you currently employed?
No.
How do you make money now these days?
Again, Your Honor, this is a collateral source and it's irrelevant to this case.
Okay, I'll withdraw the question, Judge. Who is Mr. Mystify?
That's one of my music artistries.
You are a recording music artist, right?
That is correct.
How long have you been that?
I recorded and made my own song, my first one in 2017.
Is Mr. Mystify the name that you use on Facebook? Is that what you call yourself on Facebook?
It's a stage name.
And so
I think she has to figure out how much money the son contributes so that she can figure out how much money the father did contribute.
do you perform as Mr. Mystify?
Not as much as I wanted to and liked to after everything that's happened with my dad getting killed.
Didn't you start the concept of Mr. Mystify after your father's passing?
No.
Okay. When was the last time you performed as Mr. Mystify?
I performed a shakedown show a year after my father passed to see if what I set out to do and build and do before my father had gotten killed as Mr. Mystify, to see if it was ever going to be something I could do. So it was just a one-off show to see what I put together.
Do you have any more shows lined up?
No.
Did you get paid for that show?
I did.
Did your mom come out and see you perform?
No.
Did your mom come out and join you in your music group ever?
No.
So your mom stays home?
Yes.
Do you know whether your mom has any plans of going out and socializing any point after this trial?
She can't keep it together long enough when we get out to have any fun. She hasn't conveyed any really desires
What a
to.
weird question.
You do own a music room, isn't that right?
I rent a music space.
And you pay rent every month for that space?
Yes, I share the space with some music buddies.
Does that music space have any music equipment in it for you that you own
Yes,
and sound equipment?
yes.
How many instruments do you have in that music room?
I have guitars, keyboards, and drums.
Play all those instruments now?
I do. I call myself a master of the drums, the bass guitar, electric guitar, keyboards, and very recently, I'd like to think I'm a master singer.
You testified earlier that since your father's passing, it was
I'm not calling him a liar at all, because that would be mean. But I don't think him and Truth are very good friends.
hard for you to play any instruments. Is that not the case then?
I think more of it is going out and doing music publicly is hard. But as far as doing music and playing music, my music, I do it all for my dad. Well, listening to music, not my own, that's what's hard. It's hard for me to turn on the radio, turn on the stereo, because that's what he would always do for us. He was always the first one to crank up the jams, and I could always depend on him to do that. And that's a trigger for me. Just turn on other people's music.
You went most recently to California to play there, didn't you?
I went to California to go to NAMM, and that was a lifelong bucket list, if you would, of me and my dad's. We always wanted to go to NAMM, but it's not something it's open to the general public. You have to be invited by industry professionals, and I got this opportunity to go, and I'm very, very glad I did.
You said it was called NAMM?
Yes, it's the North American Music Merchants Convention. It's where they showcase we got, you name it, 3,500 vendors are there. And they bring all the new stuff that they've made and they're going to start selling in 2025. And so it's something me and my dad followed since its inception. And every year it's very well publicated. So you can look into it online and kind of find out what's happening. But to go was a dream of me and my dad's. And
Plan on going again?
it's an invite thing. It's an invite thing. So if I could go, I might go again in the future. Probably not next year though.
You also have a weekly podcast, right?
No,
You do not. Are you a part of any weekly podcast?
no,
Are you a part of any podcast?
no,
You've never have been?
no.
You mentioned your mom and her walker. Do you remember us talking about that briefly? Just now? Your mother and she uses a walker. Do you remember us bringing that up?
Not in this conversation, but yes, she does use a walker. She has to.
Did you buy that walker for your mom?
Yes, I helped her get out.
Did a doctor suggest that, or was that just you buying it on your own?
That was I didn't need a doctor to tell me after what happened. My dad got killed and she's not able to walk. It's pretty self-evident. She needed assistance with some kind of walker device.
You take your mom to any physical therapy sessions for that?
We have.
When?
The last one was just a couple of months ago.
When did she start going to physical therapy? Do you know?
We've done it kind of off and on since my dad's gotten killed. But with how sad she is and how literally physically hurt she is. It's been too hard for her to really keep going. It takes a lot out of her to try to get up and go and try to fix herself when she didn't hurt herself. She didn't do that to herself.
How
Something happened to
often,
her.
I'm sorry. How often, have you taken your mom to any physical therapy sessions since your father's passing?
Your Honor, I'm just gonna object to relevance. We're not asking for physical damages for Ms. Laree, so this is all irrelevant.
Have a response?
No, I'll withdraw.
Okay.
Now, how often did you, go to therapy for, what happened? This
Me?
incident, yes.
Had some over the phone. I'm having quite a bit of it over the phone therapy, and
What do you mean by over the phone therapy?
talk to a therapist.
I don't know. It'll be millions.
Did you find, where'd you find that therapist?
If there is anything.
I got recommended by the buzz.
I don't have a verdict yet. So the jury started deliberating on Friday. And I sat there in front of my computer all day long and refreshed the screen and refreshed the screen. So I didn't see anything from that courtroom go live. Nothing. Now, there are a couple times I had to run to the ladies' room where I did not take my computer in and refresh and refresh. And I also left for work at 4:00. I drove there. So while I was in the car driving, I did not refresh. But when I got to work, I put it on my phone and refreshed. And I didn't see anything. So that could mean one of two things. One, the jury is still deliberating, which is weird for me because they wanted to deliberate the second the closing statements were done. They wanted to deliberate. The judge said, no, time to go home. It was a Thursday. You can do it tomorrow and Friday. So to me, only to me, and I don't know anything, that I thought that meant that they had a decision, like they kind of knew what they were going to do. And the second thing is that they're still deliberating, and I'll get them tomorrow. If I missed it for some reason, I have the case number. I'll know what the verdict was, and I'll be able to tell you way before we get to that point, because we're only on April 30th, and this goes into May. I know my months, so we'll know. You guys might even find out before me if you guys look at the news.
Please.
Mr. Busby was Mr. Busby's office recommended that you go to therapy?
Yes.
Did you want to go to therapy on your own before Mr. Busby suggested it?
I definitely knew I needed to try. I've never been to therapy, and never in my whole life. So kind of wanted to see what it could do for me.
And how many times did you go?
About 6 months of weekly phone calls.
Were you diagnosed with depression?
No.
Were you diagnosed with anxiety?
And never went to a point to get evaluated. Never, what is the word? I never went to go get psychological evaluation or anything like that.
So then would the answer to my question be no, you did not get diagnosed with anxiety?
That's correct.
So you do not take, nor did you take ever any medication for depression or anxiety, right?
That's correct.
What about post-traumatic stress disorder? Did you get diagnosed with anything like that?
No.
Why did you stop going to therapy?
Well, it got to the point where therapists really didn't have anything to tell me other than just listening to me. And at that point, it just got to a point to where she agreed with everything that I felt and thought I need to do to take care of my mom and family. And talking about what happened to my dad when I had so much to do to move forward, kind of felt like it was maybe not helping. And so it definitely got to a point where we didn't need to talk to her.
You're capable of going to therapy sessions if you wanted to now, though, right?
I suppose so.
And you're also capable of being employed if you wanted to work, right?
With all my responsibilities, taking care of my house and my mother, I don't see how I can get the time to do that.
Are you telling this jury that you can't take care of someone and also work?
This is irrelevant. He's not asking for lost wages for himself. This is irrelevant and just designed to try to make him look bad.
No, I want that grown man to answer that question. I want that grown man to sit there and say he cannot work.
No, it's not. I'm trying to get into his mindset, his emotional mindset. He's already stated that he's taking this very hard. And so that's what I'm really looking into, Judge.
I'm gonna allow some leeway, not too far, so overruled. You can answer that question.
Thank you, Judge.
Repeat that question, please.
Is there are you telling this jury that you can't take care of someone and work at the same time?
Someone in my mother's condition and in the situation and everything that we're sitting here today to do, that is correct.
Oh,
you
now
have-
I
you have-
get it. Now I get it. She is trying to make the family out to be gold diggers. She is trying to make the family out to be in this lawsuit just to get money, and it has nothing to do with the father at all. She's trying to make them out to be bad guys. They don't want to work, they just want this money. And she's not failing.
No intention of being employed, is that right? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's incorrect.
Okay. Those sessions that you attended over the phone, did you pay for those sessions?
No,
Who did?
I believe.
Again, Your Honor, this is, third time she's violated your motion to eliminate. The third time. We object.
What's
We're going to get to hear this. We're going to get to hear this. Oh, I can't hear.
So this is the final choice. And this is, the third time she does.
I'll sustain your objection.
Also ask that the council approach before she violates your motion.
Please approach if you're gonna ask a question. Counselor, stop.
Okay.
Stop talking over me. Okay, so sustain, and I will ask if you plan to ask any questions related to collateral source to please approach.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, I don't appreciate the sidebar. He was worth something.
What was it?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear, what was it?
He made a comment just now, immediately, but what did you say? Don't shush me.
Mr. Burton, stop being rude.
Don't shush me.
You know,
Mr. Burton, if you believe that, definitely you have the right to that. As far as in front of the jury, I think it's stop. They can tell They see it. It's inappropriate and it's rude. So stop.
It is.
And show her the same courtesy. You're doing your job. She's doing her job and her way. You do it in your way. Outside of that, stop with the personal stuff. It's unacceptable. And stop talking over me. That's it. Counsel, you can proceed with your cross-examination.
Actually, Judge, I don't have any other questions for Zachary. Thank you for your time. I pass the witness.
Thank you. Reset, counsel.
Council asked you some questions about safety on the work site, your call,
Yes, sir.
and specific question. Let me have that. Just.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir.
Yo, don't. That is the only question that she answered that I was like, oh no, we don't. He doesn't want the jury to hear that, and this is the question he goes to. He had said that his father always follows safety procedures, and his father would never have someone part of his crew. Oh, okay. Just so you guys know, the person who died was a pipe layer, and they were laying pipe at this construction site in an area that was supposed to be a danger zone. So they were not supposed to be there while the crane was lifting the air conditioner. No one was supposed to be in this danger zone. And this man and another pipe layer were in this area. So they just asked him, would your father ever do anything unsafe or have his crew anywhere unsafe on a job site? And they said, no, my father would never do something that was dangerous. Never. That's what the son just said. And that helps these guys a lot. So it's the only question that was asked that these guys shouldn't really, this is what he's asking about. Okay, whatever. You know what? I am just a server. They are the smart people. They are the lawyers. Surely they know what they're doing more than me.
I want to, since it came up, I want to ask you, how long did you work with your dad?
A year and a half every day.
You said you use this phrase, flying in air units.
That is correct.
I don't know what that means. Tell us what that means.
That means that you gotta fly in these big giant air units, which we've seen one. They vary in size, but flying it in means is that it has to come into the side of the building.
And is that something that you and your dad as pipe fitter or you as tradesmen would actually do yourselves?
We would be a part of that process.
Okay, listen carefully, please. Did y'all run cranes?
No,
Did y'all rig loads?
no,
Did y'all unhook loads?
no.
Okay. So I want to be clear, who did that on that job site that you're talking about?
Believe it or not, it was TNT crane and rigging.
Okay, and did they do the rigging?
They sure did.
Did they run the cranes?
They sure did.
Section, Your Honor, relevance.
She brought it up, Your Honor. I think it's absolutely relevant. Right in the strike zone of relevance as to the job and that she asked him about.
You have a response, counsel?
No, it's just completely irrelevant testimony to this case.
I'm gonna sustain the objection. Move along, counsel.
On the job site, did your dad ever do any rigging that you saw?
No,
Did you ever do any rigging?
no, weren't allowed to.
Counsel suggested that your photos weren't recent. I mean, how long has it been since your dad died?
Almost 4 years.
Did you take one picture of him last year,
No,
this year,
no,
year before last?
no.
Okay. Kind of hard to have a recent picture when he's been dead for 3.5 years.
Yes.
Okay. But the pictures we did see, those are recent, were they not? Are those your mom and dad in that, it looked like a bar to me. Is that what that was?
Yes.
Um. There was a suggestion that your dad was gonna retire. Was your dad gonna be able to retire?
It looks like it. We had a retirement plan.
When was it supposed to be?
I think he was set to retire maybe in 10 years.
Oh, okay. So we're not
Kind
talking
of
about,
fun.
you're not talking about the next couple of years. You're talking about, well,
I get upset when I'm in a Southern courtroom and they don't say words right. This is a Southern courtroom. This is Texas. So he wasn't set to retire. He was fixing to retire. That's what should have been, that sentence should have been. He was fixing to retire.
Mhm.
yes.
Well,
I asked him because you said, and stuff.
oh, sorry. He was 58. I think to retire with the union, it was gonna be 10 years.
You think he hoped to be at 68, hopefully retired.
Yes.
You said something about a shakedown show? What is that? That's not a phrase I'm familiar with.
Yeah, it was a show to see if, or to see all that I had put together. Did it work? Was it good? Could I get it done by myself? Could I get my equipment together, go set it up, put on a great show that people like, and take it all home, get home safe and sound?
Is that a industry term or I'm just trying to figure out what that?
I guess it was just the first show is what industry, but people would say, the first show you get out there is kind of a shakedown show where you're, if you do everything that you planned good on that first show, you would take it and the next shows you would do it like clockwork. You'd have the whole process down. You knew what you were going to get up there and do. You knew the songs you were going to play. And
Just real quick, you don't have to get the Discord app to use Discord. You can go just to the website, create an account, and use it right in your browser. You don't have to download the app at all. You can use either or.
you could hear back what you did that first show and move forward, repeating what you did there.
And you said your mom didn't come to that?
No.
Was that something your dad would typically show up for?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if my dad was around, and if my dad was still here, they would have been there 100%.
That's what John.
Just a few more questions. In regards to your discussions that you had with your dad about him wanting to retire in 10 years, there wasn't an actual written retirement plan, right?
Maybe not. I don't think written, but I mean, it's something we're doing.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other questions, Judge. I pass the witness. And thank you for your time.
Anything else?
One question. Well, I'm not gonna say one question. Let me just,
Go ahead, counsel.
you said his plan was 10 years. Is there any way for us to know that it might not be more than that?
And this 10 years that I want to, it wasn't like, 10 years we're going to make a move. We were in the process of getting to where he was going to retire. And we were ready to make this move and get him what he wanted, which he wanted some land. We wanted more space. Here I am with cars and we're a family tight knit unit. We were wanting to get a compound type deal. And most importantly, what I saw and was needed to do to help is help my parents get theirs because my dad worked so much. He didn't have no spare time to figure out a lot of this stuff and look, or all he could say is, this is what I want. And that was what I was there for. That's why I lived with him. That's how we were business partners, life partners, best friends. Everything he didn't have the energy or time to do, that's where I stepped up. And
That plan out the window now?
It's totally out the window. Now I'm going to be with my mom. And that was not the plan. And the plan was get them where my dad wanted to be, get them, see them retire, have them have their place. And they'd be good. And they were gonna, end their days. And when they passed away, I'd put them in, make a nice place in the backyard where I could bury them.
What's your objection, counsel?
A narrative answer, Judge.
Sustained. Again, go ahead.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else on request from defense?
No, Judge.
Okay. At this time, is there any reason this witness cannot be excused?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your time, Mr. Zachary. You may be excused. Who does the plaintiff wish to call as their next witness?
Dr. Mayor, Your Honor.
Please bring Dr. Mayer in so I can swear him in. You guys need a break? Okay, we're gonna take a break. Dr. Mayer, you can come up. I'm gonna swear you in. Please, take the jury out. We'll take a 10-minute recess.
All rise. Morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well, all things considered, yeah.
Very good. Would you introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen of our jury?
Yes, my name is Thomas H. Mayer.
What do you do for a living, Dr. Mayor?
Well, I'm a retired economist.
Say retired because this is one of your last cases.
Yeah, I haven't taken on any new cases for the last 2 years, but I had an obligation to come up in here and talk about a study that I did for the firm more than a couple years ago.
Okay. Carlos, you put the visual up for us. Dr. Mayor, I want to make sure that we're clear. You're not offering any testimony about loss of companionship?
No,
Any testimony about mental anguish,
no,
pain and suffering?
no.
Okay. You're here to talk about those damages that will be kind of above the surface, things that we can see.
Right.
Okay, let's, before we get into those types of damages, I guess I better visit with you about your background. I called you Dr. Mayer. Tell me about your education.
Well, I went to public schools here in Houston. Then I went to Rice University. I got a bachelor's degree there in economics. And then I went on to the University of Maryland and completed a PhD or doctorate degree in economics at that institution.
Okay, and you have your PhD in what?
Economics.
Okay, sorry. And as a person that has a PhD in economics, what kind of work did you do in your career?
Well, I spent most of my career as a professor of economics. I had a research fellowship for a year when I was finishing up my PhD, and then I went back and joined the faculty at University of Maryland for 4 years. Then I came back to Houston, my home, joined the faculty at the University of Houston, and I was there for 40 years until I took retirement status.
You retired from the University of Houston as a professor?
Yes.
And what kind of courses were you teaching?
I taught a variety of courses. I taught courses in macroeconomics, applied microeconomics, statistics, and even taught a course in law and economics on quite a few occasions.
What kind of work did you do once you retired from being a professor at U of H?
Well, since that time, the only work I've done has been consulting on economic matters, primarily economic damages.
You were hired in this case to do what?
To look at the economic damages sustained as a result of the death.
And how would, if the jury's trying to figure out like how much damage, economic damage, that is suffered by this family as a result of this death that took place on September 22nd of 2021, how would you as an economist go about that?
Well, the standard thing that economists look at in a death case is really twofold. One is what we call loss of earning capacity.
Okay.
And that's just how much money the decedent would have likely earned over his lifetime had he not been injured and killed at an early date. And then the other one is what's called loss of household services.
What is that?
And that's just what it would cost to replace a lot of the services that someone did for their family when they were alive and would have continued to do over their lifetime.
So it looks like you're focused, for our purposes, on the lost wages aspect that I have here on the screen.
Right. In
Not
his
talking
case, that's correct.
We're not
It's
talking about funeral costs or medical bills.
right.
Okay. So you said there's two components of this, loss of earning capacity. Right?
Yes.
Let's focus on that first. If the ladies and gentlemen of our jury want to figure out what David Lurie's earning capacity would have been, but for the fact that he died, how do we do that analysis from the perspective of an economist?
Well, for someone like Mr. Lurie, who was an experienced worker, what economists do is look at what they had earned prior to their
Past.
death. Yeah, look at their past earnings. In this case, what I did is I took the average of what he had earned in his W-2 statements for the 3 years prior to his death, and that's 2018, 19, and 20. If you just take the average of that, he averaged $89,179 per year.
So you're telling us he was averaging 89,000 what?
179.
$179 over the last 3 years of his work life.
That's right.
And that's what his W-2 said?
Yes.
Okay, now how is that important?
Well, that's the beginning of an analysis of the lifetime loss due to his death.
Okay, what do we do next?
Well, we need to make an adjustment for fringe benefits, which would be at least 6%
Where do you
of
get
his
that number?
wages.
You know what, Dr. Mayor, I apologize. I've talked over you 3 times. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm not gonna do that again, okay? How?
Well, at my age, I didn't even notice.
Sorry. Well, I'm gonna do my best not to do that, specifically because of my court report, okay?
Right.
And because the judge told me not to do that. So you said, look, this is the average of the 3 years before this man passed, but it's not a fair number because we gotta add in fringe benefits. And you said 6%.
Right. That would be employer contributions to Social Security retirement,
Okay.
which is mandated by law. So we can be very assured
I'll get his
that he would
number
have received
for you.
that had he continued working.
All right. So what would this number become if you added in the 6%?
Well, that's just one step in the analysis. We would have to add in $5,351 a year for fringes. But we also need to make an adjustment for income taxes so that the analysis is based on net after-tax earnings.
Okay, so what is that number?
Well, the IRS statistics show that they are likely to average over a span, something like 8.5% of wages. So that means we'd have to subtract 7,580 from the totals we're working with. And that would give us a net after-tax annual figure of $86,950.
And what does that number represent?
Well, it represents the proven average based on his work history on an after-tax basis that he would have been able to earn each year through a work life.
Okay, let me stop you there. So this number that I've written here is added fringe benefits, but took out taxes. So this is after-tax number with fringe benefits included.
Yes.
Okay. Then you mentioned work. What is
An unknown Viber wants to know. Wants to know if you can put a tariff on wages.
work life?
Anybody?
Well, it's sort of like a life expectancy, which I think is more familiar to people.
Yeah.
But a work life is like a life expectancy, except most people don't work their entire remaining lifetime. Most people retire at some point. So this is we have measures of how long the average person works before retirement from the workforce.
Where do you get these? Where is this data found?
Well, there are several studies, all of which take U.S. government data. The Labor Department keeps track of workforce participation of individuals over time. And then there are some private economists who've written some studies and papers to use the government data to come up with an estimate.
Okay. And with regard to David Lurie, who died at age 56.
Close to 57.
Okay. What does the United States government and these studies that you've referenced predict he would have worked, but for the fact that he was killed? How many?
Well, the effective work life is 8.65 years at age 57, which would imply basically retiring at 65.65. In other words, about halfway between age 65 and 66.
Are you retired? Like fully retired?
Yeah.
Well, you're sitting here working. I'm just wondering. How old?
I should have retired at 65.
How old are you right now?
I made an egregious mistake. No, I'm 86.
Okay. And I bet that what would the table say if you would have retired?
He would go to he might go to a table unless he knew that I'd already intended to retire. So knowing my intention to retire, which was put into effect 2 years ago, he would think that I'm probably not going to earn much money over the rest of my life. And he would be right.
I guess I'm asking you whether just because the tables say you're going to retire, you said at 8 point.
It would be, he would have an extra 8.65 years extra.
Beyond what he was at the time.
Well, beyond age 57. So he would work to an effective retirement date of 2030.439. In other words, about half the way through 2030.
And what age would he be according to the tables that
He'd be 65.65.
65 and a half years old.
Right. And that's if he exhibited characteristics of an average man working. That would be what you would expect for the average man.
Okay, so we know that this number of what he would have earned yearly going forward. We know how many years, according to the government, he would have worked. Does that help us figure out what the lost earnings in the future would be?
No,
Okay,
it's more complicated.
tell me how we.
Well, this is the part I hate because it's the part where economists show why people sometimes get bored with them. The past loss, that is from the date of death to the date of this trial, is an easy calculation, sort of like the one you indicated. You just take the $86,950 and multiply that by 3.578 years. That's the time that has elapsed from the death to this trial is 3.578 years. In other
So what
words,
is that number, past lost earnings?
yes, and that not the future being measured from the date of trial through a work life.
Yes. What's that past number?
Well, the past number I've calculated, it's $311,107.
Okay, and then obviously you're predicting the future based on government tables. What is the future lost earnings?
Well, the future going to a work life expectancy would be $454,471.
Now, is that reduced to present value?
Yes.
Okay, explain why you would reduce it to what they call present value.
Well, present value is just a calculation that economists do, which is a little complicated, but not terribly so. Where you have to take into account future wage growth over time. And then you have to account for the fact that any lump sum
disappointed
today
for
can be
just a
invested
moment.
and earn interest. And that interest can help pay for the future losses. So it's those two factors that go into the calculation.
You took those into account.
Yes, those are taken into account, just using sort of reasonable standards for wage growth of 1.25% a year. That's based on historical data that the government has. And then the interest you get on safe investments after inflation is not very much, but it's probably going to be somewhere in the range of 0.5% a year above inflation. So if we have 3% inflation, you ought to be able to get a safe return of 3.5% in the future.
Let's just go to, I know you did all that math to
Yeah.
reduce it to present value. What is the future loss after doing those calculations?
So-
454,000, what's the next?
Yes, it's $454,471.
Okay, so with regard to David Laree, who was killed on September 22nd of 2021, your testimony is his past loss was $311,107,
Yes, that's correct.
and the future loss $454,471.
Yes.
Okay, is that all of it, or is there something else we need to look at? As far as the loss that this family suffered economically?
Well, that's the loss of what he would have earned to the family. That's my best estimate of that. I've also done a calculation of loss of household services.
Let's focus on those. Now, to calculate loss of household services, which are work done around the house, you need to know the life expectancy.
Yes.
Why?
Well, because those services can be done as long as people are alive. They have some average propensity to provide household services.
You had told us that the government had tables for work life expectancy. Does the government also have tables for life expectancy?
Yes, it does.
And with regard to David Laree, what according to the United States government was his quote life expectancy?
It would be to about age 81.1,
How old did you say you were?
86.4.
Right. I guess and I hope you don't think I'm being disrespectful to you, doctor. I mean, you and I know each other, true?
Yes,
You worked on other cases for my law firm.
yes,
You've actually testified in cases, death cases for my law firm.
yes, I believe so.
Have I ever suggested to you anything about what you should say? In other words, I don't know this stuff enough to even tell you what to say, do I?
Right.
What is it you get paid hourly?
$350.
And how much time did you spend on this particular file?
Well, over 2 years ago, I did the workup that I'm now explaining and created a report. All that work was 8 hours.
Was this and I'm not, no disrespect to the Laree fan, but this was pretty standard stuff that you do?
Yes, very standard.
This is something you've done thousands of times.
Close to it, yes, I'm sure.
I mean, the numbers are the numbers. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, within reason.
All right. So you said that David Laree's life expectancy, according to the United States government, would have been 81 years old.
Approximately, yes.
And would you do the, just for my purposes, 81 minus 56 is what?
Well, I think I have it calculated here.
Just around. I don't know if you're too technical. 81 minus 56 is what number?
Okay, 81 minus 56.
This lawyer is a straight up ass for asking an economist to do math on the stand.
Well, I want to be accurate, make sure I don't, at my old age, mess up a digit. Well, it's about 25. Somehow I made the fatal mistake that economists aren't supposed to make. I left my hand calculator at home.
Thank you. 25.
Let's say 25.
So according to the government, David Laree had about 25 years more of life.
Right.
Okay. Now, household services. We've heard about what they are. How do you calculate?
Well, there's a study, which is the standard source economists use, which is based on US government survey data. They survey how much time different family members in different demographic categories spend on household services. And then they multiply the number of hours spent by a replacement cost figure that comes from the Labor Department. And you put this together, and then they have annual values of household services.
And do you do these like calculated what they are in the past and then also the future?
Yes.
Can we just focus then on what is the number for loss of household services in the past for David Laree?
All right. If Mr. Laurie would have been typical for a man in his demographic category, that is married, no minor children, while employed, it would be valued at about $12,609 a year if he were typical. And then once he's retired, it would be valued at $19,152 a year.
You're saying that the person, is it by gender or by age? Is that how it's calculated, or whether they have kids?
Yes, it's calculated by gender, male or female, working or non-working, and also categorized by whether they're small children or minor children in the household.
So in David Lurie's circumstance, no minor children, working and married, the government says that he contributed about 12 grand a year to his household.
Yeah, approximately.
And that's just in fixing things, mowing the yard, that sort of thing.
Sure, it includes a lot of things, household work, getting goods and services, doing repair work, remodeling, all of that sort of thing is in the calculation.
You said that when somebody retires, government says that their contribution to the household goes up to 19,000 a year.
Yes, it goes up. Might not think so, but when you think about it, it makes sense.
Welcome, throwaway. Hello.
If you're not working, you have more time to work around the house, and also you maybe have less income, so you spend time doing things to save money. So instead of hiring outside services, you do them yourself, for example.
But let's focus on then, because there's some blanks the jury will be called upon to fill in. Let's focus on past household services lost by Melina. What is that number?
Okay, this assumes that Mr. Laurie would have been a typical provider going over his lifetime. It would be up to the jury to decide whether that's the right protocol, whether he would be above average or below average.
Because you're giving us the average.
This is just the average number, exactly. So a past average number would be $45,115.
Okay.
And again, that's over the time period from his death to the date of this trial.
All right. And then the future.
And the future would have a present value of $387,376. And by the way, the calculation for household services in terms of the math is the same as for earning capacity. You have to adjust the value of household services over time for inflation or trends in wage growth, and then you have to discount it.
Right. And you did all that.
And that's all done in that 387,376 figure.
Now, we heard some testimony. Were you in the courtroom when Zach testified? Zach Lurie?
Yes.
I want to ask you just a couple of questions before we're done here. You have this man working another 8.65 years. There was some testimony that the intention was another 10 years. If the jury felt like that, it's not eight.
The testimony was he was fixing on retiring.
8.65 years, 10 more years, this man was going to work with this union job. How would they be able to adjust your number based on that kind of testimony?
CJ, I love when you talk like that.
Well, I think what they could do is to make a rough calculation is to take if you're looking at earning capacity, you could take the figure of, say, 85,000, rounded off, 85,000 for how many extra years.
Okay.
And that would be a good estimate. 85,000 times 3 extra years could be done, or 2 extra, or whatever.
Okay. And the same, if they thought he was going to retire earlier than 8.65 years, they could just subtract it.
They would subtract that, yes.
Okay, is this the entirety of what you were asked to do?
Yes.
I miss anything?
I can't think of anything.
All right, you're our past witness.
Would you like to cross the video?
Yes, a few questions.
Please proceed.
My name is Marilyn. Thank you for being here today. I'm going to break up my questions just like you did and do the loss of earning capacity and then also the loss of household services, okay?
Yes.
In regards to the loss of earning, what,
Speak up some.
me? Yeah.
Will you just speak up some?
Speaks, okay, yes.
Thank you.
In regards to, is that good? In regards to the loss of earning capacity, would you agree with me that Mr. Lurie's annual salary, there's a downward trend in his wage, right?
You said on.
Well, let
real.
me check my
I'm
notes.
so
here.
proud of you. You didn't just say Ruby.
Yes, his wages in 2020, for example, were 85,000 rounded off. And it was like
I'm very turned on, by the way.
91,000 rounded off for the 2 previous years. But that could very easily be due to the pandemic year. So I wouldn't put a lot of credence in any trend. Plus the fact that I haven't made any adjustment for typical wage changes that have occurred since the pandemic. Most jobs are paying more money. So that adds a bit of conservatism. On balance, I think what I did makes reasonable sense to both sides.
I appreciate that, but you don't know that for sure, right? That would be speculation.
Well, I wouldn't call it speculation, but there's a risk involved in any estimate. You know, somebody could be atypical in one direction or the other. But economists don't usually like to get involved with that. We like to deal with averages and then in a forensic setting allow the jury, which likely has more information about specifics about the family and so on than the economists, to make that sort of judgment.
Yet in your report, if I understand it correctly, Doctor, you provided for a net income growth of 1.25%. Is that right?
Right.
Instead of the downward trend that you saw in Mr. Lurie's salary. Is that right?
Well, the trend, yes, it's, but the trend is supposed to take societal effects into account.
I don't know that one at all. Never heard of it. Now I'm going to have to look for it.
Now, you did hear testimony from Zachary that his father wanted to retire in 10 years from 2021. Did you hear that?
I don't believe I heard Zachary's testimony about retirement dates.
Okay. Well, would you agree with me that that is the testimony, sir? He said that his father wanted to
I'm
retire.
willing to take any hypothetical you give me.
Do you agree with me that that's the best evidence that we have as to when Mr. Lurie expected to retire?
Well, yes and no. People have plans, but circumstances change. People don't have complete information about what they're going to do in the future. Sometimes it's better to just look at averages, because the averages take into account those kinds of differences in circumstances. I mean, the average, for example, takes into account health. Some people die early or get some debilitating injury. That's all taken into account in a work life expectancy, all those circumstances.
So you would agree with me then, sir, that basing your report on a retirement age of 70 is a statistical requirement, a statistical retirement figure, right?
Well, I'm not sure what it is, a statistic. Maybe what you're getting at, if I may be so bold as to infer, is whether that is an average or not. And the answer is no, it's not an average. If someone works an effective work life to 70, it's about 5 years above the average or close to 5 years above the average for someone like him. So it would be an above average result, yes.
Okay, so you do agree that it would be an above average result, right?
Well, I agree that it's a possible result, but it wouldn't be based on the average experience of men such as Mr. Laurie. But of course, Mr. Laurie could have ended up working to 75 or something like that, but
You
it wouldn't be typical.
Okay. And you don't have any evidence to support that one way or another, other than Zachary's testimony?
No, have I attempted to find any kind of evidence like that.
Let's briefly get into the loss of household services, okay?
Yes.
Now, in your report, you base your household service analysis on a life expectancy at 24.9 years. Do I have that right?
24.1 years at age 57.
And you were relying on a National Vital Statistics report dated 2020. Is that right?
I don't remember the exact date, but if you looked it up, I'll accept your word for it.
Thank you, sir. Would you agree with me that there is a more updated National Vital Statistics report of 2022?
There's one for every year. You can go back any number of years. They're available annually. Yes.
Okay. And if we were to use that updated report, it would actually reduce the loss of household services by about $80,000. Do you agree with that?
No. Where do you get that figure?
Well, the value of the lost household services would be reduced by approximately $80,700 if we were to use a more updated statistical report.
Statistical report for life expectancy?
No, we're talking about household services, sir.
No, that's not even remotely on my radar. The thing is that life expectancy doesn't change much if you look at the data over time. It can wiggle a little bit, and maybe during the pandemic you found the data showed more deaths during the pandemic. So you wouldn't want to use that in favor of some other number. So there are things like that that can adjust it, but no, the idea that 80,000 difference would be because life expectancies have gone down, unless we suffered atomic attack or something like that. That just doesn't strike me as remotely credible.
Now your report refers to the dollar of the day. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And can you explain to the jury what that is?
Yes, as I said earlier, the government runs surveys on how many hours people spend on household work. And they also have surveys on replacement costs of that kind of work. And there's a study called the dollar value of the day, which takes those two government statistics and calculates them out to come up with a daily average value for household services. And they have it for different demographic features, male versus female, employed versus unemployed, and so on.
So the household services that you listed with Mr. Busby during your testimony, you agree with me that your report doesn't provide any information regarding specific household services performed by Mr. Lurie?
Yes, yes. Economists are not used to going into that kind of an estimate. I think I can speak for my colleagues. we're reluctant to get into things that are specific to an individual, where the jury will have much better information than the expert. All the expert can do is tell the jury what's typical or what's average based on data and statistics. And so it's up to the jury to decide whether he would have been average, below average, or whatever in the provision of household services. And that, when you think about it, it's just, I'm not capable of making that decision, because the jury hears all kinds of evidence about the family and what they do and their makeup and so on.
And your report also didn't take into consideration the amount of time that Mr. Laree spent on any of those activities. Is that true?
Right. It's not based on that because, as I say, it's not based on anything specific to Mr. Laurie except his sex, his demographic circumstances, and even where he lives, because the studied dollar value of the day allows us to adjust the replacement cost of services to the geographical location. So all of that's taken into account, but nothing more specific than that about Mr. Laurie. That again is a province, I believe, of the
CJ distracted me with that rock star programming language, so I missed a whole bunch of what he said because he's really boring. Did I miss anything important?
jury, not of the experts.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions. I pass the witness. Redirect.
Yes, Your Honor. Sir, I want to very briefly look with you at, we're going to put it on the screen. You referenced the earnings from 2018, 2019, and 2020. Is that right?
Yes.
If you could, Carlos, let's start with 2018, which is exhibit 106, which is an evidence, claims 106. Right. Carlos, would you?
I'm just super pissed that you guys haven't seen him yet. You will, I promise.
To be good to go.
Exit.
There we go. Could you bring up, Carlos? We're looking at, sir, is this a 2018 W-2 for David Laree?
Yes.
And could you see who his employer was at that point in time?
Yes, it's Way Engineering.
All right, now let's go to the earnings. I want to focus on his gross pay. Carlos, gross pay, please.
Yes,
Can you go to the gross pay?
it says, you mean by gross pay,
Just look at
the,
gross pay here. Thank you.
oh, okay, on that.
All right, can you tell us what?
Yeah, I can see that better now. It's blown up enough to see, but it's $105,593.
Okay, let's go to plaintiff's exhibit 107, which is also in evidence. Again, show us who the employer was. We're doing the same thing each time. Show us who the employer was. Who was the employer, sir?
Yes, it's Way Engineering.
Let's go to gross pay for 2019 according to the W-2. What is that number?
$108,296.
So that was more than the year before.
Correct.
So there was some suggestion it was a downward trend, but that was just flat out false.
Objection, Your Honor. Sidebar. Mischaracterization of the evidence.
Staying.
Was there a suggestion of a downward trend?
Well, there was a suggestion, but I don't think she was referring to the gross pay. She was referring to taxable income
Okay.
or Social Security income.
How much tax will pay, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Gross
There's a
pay.
little difference.
Can you tell us what gross pay is?
Gross pay includes
My paycheck
And
is
in this
gross
particular
pay.
year, it includes non-taxable earnings of $17,528.
But I'm just asking about gross pay, like what is gross pay? Like the gross amount that you get from your employer?
Yes, it would include taxable earnings and non-taxable earnings.
That's what I'm getting at. And let's go to exhibit 108. Let's check out the employer. Do we agree it's the same one?
Yes.
And let's go to gross pay. Now here, this number is $92,914.
Yes.
Can't see the screen. You look up there, you can see what you can see. Oh, that's it. Okay, is it $92,914?
Yes.
All right, now, is there anything that was happening in 2020, starting around March?
Yes.
What happened in 2020, starting around March?
Well, that was the first pandemic year, and so there's a lot of disruption. The economy was going downhill rapidly because a lot of businesses were shut down and mass hysteria and that sort of thing.
Even in that year, he made how much?
Well, he made, the gross pay was $92,915.
Let me ask
Yes.
you,
Jeez. We need to go lay some pipe. It's very profitable. All right, that's enough of The Economist for one day. Hi, Debbie. You came just in time. He doesn't seem sure, though, of those numbers that he crunched and crunched and crunched and then threw at us. All right, we got through the son's testimony today, so I don't think there's any more emotional testimony to go through. So we're going to pick back up with at 2 hours and 32 minutes, 22 seconds tomorrow, which I'll forget, but it's all right. We'll figure it out. Because I am streaming tomorrow because tomorrow is Monday. Yeah, I did forget to edit this, but I can do it real quick. Redirect. Done. So you're going to be popped over to OJ, which is probably going to start way earlier than I thought it was going to start. The rest of you, have a great day. Thank you so much for coming out. Happy Mother's Day to all the mommies. I'll see you again real soon. Bye, guys. I bet. See you guys.
Got these lights that goes digital dreams through the screen. Her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late night when the world sleeps, she's the friend just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom, eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted, sharp, in a way there's no alarm.